Hi, for those who are preparing for the uh, PMP exam, I am Muhammad Radi and welcome to How to Pass PMP exam in a nutshell. Before attending the PMP class, I'd like to introduce you to our methodology. Our methodology is going to be what to study, and I'll put star on it, definition or key terms, and then it gives more detail on specific things to study. Then, last of all, sample questions and the answers are given. My objective is to introduce you to the content and the essential term of the PMBOK Guide 5th edition and to know how to study for the PMP exam. What is your strategy? You know that the layout of the PMBOK Guide is 13 chapters. I'll walk you through the first three chapters and telling you that the chapter one definitions, concern about definitions, and after, as a project manager, knows the definition, then chapter two is introduce you to the types of organization, your power as a project manager in different type of organization, and then chapter three is giving you the methodology according to the PMI. What's your methodology to use a pipe processing group? Um, I'm not going to walk you one by one in details, but I'm giving you as a tourist guide, pointing you out that what you are going to study. Definition, you look at it and use your mouse to stop, to pause, and you go through the definition. It is straightforward. And if you want to memorize this a slide with a star, that will be good. And the you walk through, you go look at the page 5 of the PIMBA guide, and page 9, and page 10, and page 14, and page 15. All of these will introduce you to the different type of organization, the terminology or definition, and to know the difference between project management as operation management. This is very important definition while you are taking the PMP exam. What's your role as a project manager? You look at it and you spend some time on it, pause, use your mouse, and your role as a project coordinator. Um, and you have to know also when you take the exam what's the constraint, the factor that limit the team's option or your option when while you are trying to approach the achieving, finishing, finalizing your project. You find yourself limited with the cost, with the time, and the scope. Those are called the triple constraints. And there is other factors, starting with the quality, how well your project resources in terms of human resources and the material, and the risk. When we talk about the risk, you mean the threats and opportunities. So you need the skills and you have to get yourself ready at any time. If one of your superior met you in the elevator, they called what's your pitch? If someone of the seniors meet you in the elevators, you have to talk about three things basically: scope, budget, and time. So you have to tell them what's your baseline about the scope, what's your baseline about the budget and the time. With skills with your team, you have all the time armed with numbers, where we are, measurement, where we plan to be, evaluation, how can we get on track again, there is correction. And I have 5 questions for you. You look at this is regarding chapter one, and these 5 questions, I have the answers. You look at the answers. Um, you go to my website, you go to the resources and download for free. Now, chapter two, it's about the types of, now you are armed with a definition. You know what the definition. I'd like to introduce you to the type of the organization. I'd like you to focus on figure two One, it's about functional, and here you find I put it in blue. I put them in blue. The matrix organization. You have weak matrix organization, balanced matrix organization, and a strong matrix organization, and the projectized. Finally, the projectized organization. I'd like you to be familiar with all these organization and what is your strength in. I give example, functional organization. There is department, marketing department, IT department, finance department, and I gave example of the matrix organization and the projectize. And I'd like you to know your power as a project manager. This is very good. Uh, um, uh, One of those target in questions in the PMP exam. Your level, your power in the functional organization, and your power in matrix organization and projectized organization. This slide is page 22. You look at it and to see what's your power as a project manager authority, and in functional, what's your power in the matrix, whether it is weak, balanced, strong matrix, and in the projectiles. Now, I'd like you also to introduce you to two definition. I consider it as a recipe. One of those very important recipe is called organization process assets. That gives it the flavor in your for your company or organization when you accomplish a project. And another recipe called enterprise environmental factors. The difference between the organization process assets and the enterprise environmental factors, that's something you control, and the other one you don't have control over it. For examples, in the organization process asset, you have control, you can create policy, you can create processes, you can create procedures, and there is other you can make a database of templates to support your project management, and you have a lesson learned historical information. The enterprise environmental factors, I like to look at it as something you don't have control on it. Like example, legal requirements, marketplace conditions, you don't have any control on it. A strike, you don't have a control on these things, which is external. Consider it external. The other thing, internal, that the culture and the structure of performing organization and the infrastructure and etc. Now, I'd like you to look at the next slide about the project life cycle. This is example of the cycle of a project. It is not straightforward. It is cycle. You start with the initiating processing group or initiating processes, and then you go for the planning, and after you go for executing, and then you go for all under the umbrella of monitoring and the controlling. And here, as you see for this graph, I'd like you to look at all this. You follow the dotted line of the monitoring and the controlling process. And I give examples of the questions, uh, whether what is, which of the following is not part of the enterprise environmental factors, and which of the following not part of organization process assets. This questions, you see, there's abbreviation here. You don't expect to see abbreviation in the exam. Now, if you know the trick, then you know the part right away, organization policies and procedure is the right answer because it is not part of the enterprise environmental factors, because this is something all marketplace condition, market demands, government industry regulation, this is something you can't control. And the same trick here, you are going to use with organization process assets. This is the stakeholder risk tolerance. And again, I have 5 questions for you, and you go question one by one, and then you would get the answer from www.projectmetricssolutions.com. You go to the resources and you download for free. Now, we are going to take you to chapter 3 before I take you to how to study from chapter 4. What's your strategy to study? Here you see the 5 processing group. It is not straightforward. It is cycle, and in the word of the project management, you run your project through processes using the process of PMI from initiating to the closing. And for the small project, you are going to use the processing group. But if you are going to use big project, you have the project has should be divided into phases to be managed easily. So in summary, chapter one, it is about definition. Chapter two, it is about the types of organization. And chapter three, it is about your methodology to accomplish your project. Now, how to study for the PMP exam? You know, this which direction I should prepare myself by knowledge area or by processing group. And before I go further, I just want to introduce you to the definition called knowledge area, which is each project has a scope that needs to be managed, and the knowledge required to manage a scope is called project scope management. To perform the project work within the project scope, you need human resources, which need to be managed, and the knowledge used to manage human resources is called project human resources. And everything, you can use the same approach with all knowledge area. Now, for chapter four, this is the knowledge area, and then processing group. I need you to make a strategy, which is make your study phase one and phase two. Phase one, I like you to study in phase one all the chapters from four, and then you finish all the chapter four, and then you study chapter five till you finish chapter 13. So you go chapter one by one. And finishing this, I'd like to make my point. When I ask you about questions, can you is the next step after developing the project charter, which is here. So right away, I want you to hold your answer because I have something, because this is not going to give you the right answer if you are going to study by knowledge area. Now, by studying for the PMBOK for the PMP exam, you have to study according to the processing group. So before attending the exam, I'd like you to go every processing group, like 4.1, it is develop project charter. And the next step is 13.1, which is identify stakeholders. So you finish initiating till you finish. For example, here initiating, I'd like you to summarize it. For the planning, I'd like also you summarize it. For the execution processing group, I'd like you to summarize it for yourself. For the monitoring and the controlling, the same thing. And for the closing, you develop. Now I ask you the question now, what is the next step after developing project charter? Right away, you say, after developing the project charter, I identify stakeholders. This is the right answer. So, or studying according to the knowledge area, it doesn't give you the right answer. However, when you study according to the processing group, it gives you the right answers. Your homework for the next session of YouTube, I'd like you to study to know what are the 10 knowledge area. Page 61, how know the difference between the project management plan and document. Page 78, and how the content of the project management plan, what are they? Identify all the project management plan according to the PMI. My advice to you, again, for the last thing, for you, for your PMP prep exam, practice question by processing group. Again, the last thing here, please go to, if you like my slide, my YouTube, subscribe, share it, go to www.projectmetricsolutions.com, go to the resources and download for free. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next session of my PMP, how to pass PMP exam. Thank you. See you later. Bye-bye.